1, ignition, engines full power, and liftoff of Falcon 9. Go SpaceX, go Cygnus, NG-21.
When it comes to space shuttles, rockets and stuff, SpaceX has made quite the name for itself. Elon Musk definitely would be smiling with the progress of SpaceX in the space travel game. Speaking of progress, SpaceX's newest plane, the Starship, is undergoing test flights to guarantee its potential as SpaceX's promise for the future. And what is the future here? Well, a trip to Mars. Would SpaceX's Starship make it to the finish line before Boeing and the others catch up? Would SpaceX's Starship make it to the finish line before Boeing and the others catch up? Would the Starship even hit the jackpot of a successful trip to and from space? We answer these questions and we'll learn even more about SpaceX's newest candidate for the Mars race. And all you have to do is watch this video till the end. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to this channel because you don't want to miss all the fun going on in this space. Before we talk about the Starship's previous test flights and its upcoming 5th test, let's take a while to drool over this immensely gorgeous ship. Standing 164 feet tall without its custom-made boosters, the Starliner is what we could describe as a mystical beast. The Starship's booster, called the Super Heavy, is another mystery of its own. Powered by 33 Raptor engines made by SpaceX, it has enough power to push the Starship far outside Earth's gravity and deep into space. Technically, this makes the Starship Super Heavy couple an overpowered combo. That's not even the best part about the Starship's booster. The Super Heavy is also proposed to be a reusable booster. Basically, this means we can launch several Starship models on a single Super Heavy booster without any failure. The Starship itself is also powered by 6 Raptor engines, which are fueled with liquid methane and oxygen. Typically, these are the best propellants for a ship this massive. Even better is that the fuels can also be obtained even on Mars, placing the Starship one step ahead of its competitors. Now you can see why I said the plane is a wonder of SpaceX, a wonder in the making. But what exactly happened in the Starship's test flights 1 through 4? The Starship has undergone a total of 15 launches, 4 of which involved launching the entire Starship vehicle atop its Super Heavy booster. These have so far shown the loopholes and failures in the design of the Starship and its booster. SpaceX pretty much noted everything. The first integrated test flight of the Starship, consisting of the vehicle and the Super Heavy booster, was performed on the 20th of April in 2023. The result of the test was nothing short of explosive, literally. Initially, the vehicle was planned for a 90-minute trip round the Earth's orbit and then a perfect landing in the Pacific. However, nothing went as planned. The liftoff was so great it critically destroyed the launch pad. Then, 3 engines failed to start, and even more went dead seconds after the liftoff. As the vehicle hit supersonic speed, the Starship whirled like a roller coaster, and it lacked the thrust power to push it further. The spinning of the vehicle triggered its flight termination sequence. 40 seconds later, the Starship was blown to bits. On reviewing the result, the control team realized the trip was only a mere 3 minutes and 57 seconds. Elon Musk only bowed his head in disappointment. His dream was literally in flames. After 63 corrections, the Starship was allowed another test flight. After the huge failure of the first test flight, the Starship performed another test flight on the 18th of November 2023. This time, the results got only slightly better. Also planned for a 90-minute yet partial circling around Earth and a non-explosive landing in the Pacific, the second test started out with a smooth launch around 1 p.m. Then the Starship and the Super Heavy successfully separated as planned, and then the Super Heavy started its journey back to Earth to land in the Gulf of Mexico. This was where the whole test spiraled down sharply. The Super Heavy, after its programmed boost backburn for a return trip, lost most of its Raptor engines to a cataclysmic chain reaction of explosions. And how drastic was the engine failure? Well, it led to the explosion of the beastly Super Heavy boosters. The Starship vehicle had a different story of its own. After the separation, its 6 Raptor engines successfully powered it out of Earth's orbit, making it the first time the Starship had got into space. However, only 8 minutes through the flight and while in space, signals were cut off between the vehicle and the control base on Earth. A safe command was triggered automatically, and that was the end of the vehicle. It exploded in space. Even though the test flight ended with both the vehicle and the boosters being blown to pieces, it placed a smile on Elon's face, registering that there was hope for the Starship in the space business. In the Mars race, after 17 changes to the Starship vehicle and its boosters, SpaceX was given the green light to perform their 3rd Starship test. Some say 3 is the lucky number. Was it so for SpaceX's Starship? With a record of seemingly successful yet explosive 2nd test flight, SpaceX was super hyped for the 3rd test flight of its newest vehicle. On March 14, 2024, the Starship Super Heavy combo was prepped for the 3rd flight. This time, however, SpaceX aimed higher, a trip that would last over a minute round the Earth and back. As with the 2nd test flight, both the launch and separation phases of the couple were successful. Somehow, history only repeated itself. The Super Heavy lost 6 of its engines about half a kilometer above the Gulf of Mexico, and 7 more engines failed as it got a few meters closer. The return was thus unsuccessful, and the booster burst into flames. Somehow, maybe SpaceX didn't take note of the engine errors of the 2nd test flight. Like the 2nd test flight, the Starship vehicle successfully entered space and even went further with its breakthrough, achieving successful propellant transfer and payload dispenser tests. Sadly, the return to Earth only mimicked the technical issue of the 2nd flight. Several kilometers above the Indian Ocean, communications were lost. There was no way the control base on Earth could monitor the Starship, and so the button was again slammed for an explosion of the vehicle. We can't really tell if SpaceX counted their little successes, but altogether it was quite clear that both the vehicle and its booster had to spend some time in the repair room. Repairs were much more intense this time as drastic changes were made to the software system and also to the engines on the booster and the vehicle. A 4th test ensued only 3 months later. The turnout of the 4th test had significant differences when compared to all the previous tests. You guessed it right, it was all successful. However, there were a couple of new and interesting things that happened. On June 6, 2024, the combo was again launched, and quite similar with the 2nd and 3rd flights, the launching and separation were successful. On return, 2 Raptor engines of the Super Heavy failed to stay lit. This, however, didn't seem to affect the landing of the Super Heavy. Why? Well, one of the changes made to the booster after the failure of the 3rd flight was an increase in the number of Raptor engines used in the booster, from 13 to 33, 20 more engines. Then another interesting upgrade made to the Super Heavy was a change from its programmed horizontal landing to a vertical landing in the Gulf of Mexico. And no, there were no explosions this time. The Starship vehicle also had a beautiful journey to and fro, completing all the tests it was programmed for, and then returning successfully and landing in the ocean. Despite landing kilometers from the expected site and suffering significant structural injuries and loss of its heat shield, Elon Musk and the entire SpaceX team agreed that the trip was a huge success. I guess 4 was the lucky number for the Starship after all. Congratulations to SpaceX! Despite the success of the 4th test flight, SpaceX is preparing for a 5th test, scheduled for September 2024. There are a number of expectations for this test flight, including SpaceX's attempt to perform another vertical landing of the Super Heavy, only this time on a landing tower called the Mechazilla. This tower is almost like a giant clamp stand, the type you'd see in a science laboratory. Might I add that these towers have already been built too. SpaceX is moving at the speed of light with its space missions. Also, the Starship has received a number of improvements, including a double thickening of its heat shields. Software upgrades have also been made, ensuring better communication with the spaceship while on its journey. Engine tests have also been performed on the Starship and the Super Heavy, so the likelihood of an explosion is really reduced as we await the Starship's 5th test. Let's wish SpaceX good luck with this one. They definitely have achieved a milestone with the Starship in the past 1 year. And to Elon Musk, let's hope his dream is finally achieved. We are all eager for the results of this one. If it turns out successful, the world would have been shaken by Elon Musk's next X or Twitter announcement. History would have this one in its books, and hopefully the Starship makes it to Mars first. With that, we've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Space Minds for the latest updates on our space news and adventures.